What's up, guys? So I've been thinking, I reference my past a lot, but I really want to invite you guys into that time period. So let's relive my experiences together as a gay black boy becoming a black gay man. In my own words, of course. So last week we talked about the doll I had, and I would love if I had a picture to show you guys, but younger me would have been mortified. Younger me would have wondered why.
Why nobody called the cops?
Hey, real quick trigger warning. We're going to talk about some gay shit and some trauma. We're going to laugh, we're going to learn, we're going to do the things, but we're also going to talk about some gay shit and some trauma. I got to keep it real with you. Well, not always both. Well, maybe gay shit or trauma. It could be both, it could not be both. You get what I'm trying to say? Either way, we're going to talk about some gay shit and or some trauma. So prepare yourselves. Also, thank you so much for being here. Like, the way you guys have been responding to me for the past, honestly, 4 years, but this series specifically doesn't go unnoticed. I do have a quick favor to ask you guys, though. Okay, real quick, guys. Before this video starts, can you subscribe for me? Because I really want you to subscribe. The goal is 100,000 subscribers this year, so we're going to see if we can make that happen. We are sitting at 35,000, so we're going to see if we can get 65 more thousand and make that happen. So if you got it in your spirit, just subscribe and send it to a friend and they subscribe too. We all subscribe and we just keep subscribing and subscribing and subscribing and subscriing. And then next thing you know, we're just all subscribed and then we got 100,000 followers. Okay, so let's stick our feet in middle school. So in middle school is when I kind of got a feel for who I was going to be. Not who I was, because we didn't give that any room, but I got a feel for who I was going to be. I had this best friend in the 7th grade, and you guys told me to stop name dropping, so I will listen. I figured they, are just people in the story. There was no real contact that they would be uncomfortable with, but I guess people in their names in general, I don't know. So I'm going to just stop saying names. But I had this best friend in 7th grade who I admired so deeply. And this is the part I think that as an adult within the gay community specifically, we don't understand yet the difference between admiration and romantic interest. Those two things get cloudy quickly. So 13, 14-year-old me was confused about how I felt about this best friend of mine. I didn't holistically think that it was romantic. I also didn't holistically think it was friendly. I didn't know what it was. I just knew that I admired him and wanted to be around him. Older, more evolved me knows I wanted to be him. He had everything that I wanted. At that time, I told you guys, me and my family had moved. So we moved from this nice neighborhood to a different neighborhood. And he had all the things. He had, siblings who he liked and they liked him back. And he had two parents who were kind and who he liked to be around. And they had resources and they drove a nice car and all these things that I wanted. And I liked being around him, but I also just wanted his life. So I really enjoyed being around him as a young boy. I was like, I just want to be around my best friend. He just has all the things that I like. And my mom, when I got older, says that she knew I was gay because of that friendship. She was like, that was the one that, because of me and this friend. And I think that was a projection onto me. Maybe she knew I was gay for separate reasons and that was the confirmation, but I didn't like him. And I think sometimes we tend to just, when someone is gay, you just automatically assume when they're around a boy that their intentions are romantic and or sexual. And that's not the case for everybody. And I wish people would tell you that younger so you don't confuse the two. I think a lot of people, even in my adult years, it would be times I would tell, yo, you don't really like me, kid. I had friends, yo, you don't like me, kid. But I think no one really knows when you're younger how to tell you that in a way that you'll understand or how to embody that in a way that you can receive. And so I think for me, it was always this confusion around, even as a younger adult, like, should we be friends? Should we not be friends? We're both guys, especially when you guys are both queer. I don't know if this is luckily or not, but my friends growing up, they weren't queer. So I didn't have anything to go off of. But I think had they been queer, it might have been, let's play a little bit first. Because I think adults, it happens all the time where you'll see people in the gay community have a good amount of friends they've been sexual with, not because they, were unaware of, this romantic energy that would go wrong. It was just, you're good looking and you're nice. Let's do this. Opposed to you just being good looking and nice and that being okay. But again, we should just be friends. So yeah, younger me wanted to be just like my best friend. And that ended up in the friendship dissolving, of course. I was obsessive and extremely jealous. I just could not be within the friendship. He was himself without having to do all the pretending I was doing, which made me more jealous. And I was like, dang, I gotta do all this work to receive the luxury of comfortability that you exist in, all the while you ain't doing the same work I'm doing. you chilling. And it's like, I can't really chill like that. And so I think even that added to the layer of, I'm jealous of you and want to be you and But anyways, so 8th grade, I'm on the varsity basketball team. We're doing our thing. I'm cool with some people, friends in school, a whole 9 yards. I think I was voted like best all around or best whatever. I'm pretty popular. And I had just got my braces off. So it was like a whole thing. I remember this like it was yesterday. We were at study hall before basketball practice, and one of my homies was dating a girl that she liked me but liked him more. So I don't know if you guys went through this, but she basically was like, I'll be your girlfriend. And then when he came around, she was like, I was just kidding, whatever, and ended up being his girlfriend, which, I mean, he was a little cutie. I get it, girl. Rock it. And that happened to me a lot within like elementary and middle school. A girl would kiss me for the little 5 seconds behind the desk or, ask me to be her boyfriend until a better looking guy came around and then she would go with him. That wasn't jarring to me, But we were in study hall and he was dating the girl, and this guy, again, I'm not going to name drop, but I do remember his name. He goes, "You're gay," to me. And it was like this, the blood, every piece of blood I had was going through every piece of my brain. It was all like up here. And all I heard was "you're gay" to me. But it was in the midst of one of those, like, when you're saying like you gay, like, like one of those jokey, "you're gay." I don't know if kids still joke this way, but when we were younger, he's like, "You gay." Like, "Well, you gay," But again, you can't joke. You couldn't joke with me that way, sweetie, because I'm actually gay. Like, I'm really gay. Like, it's gay. Like, let's all chill. Hold on. And I remember going into this, like, about to defend myself energy, and then the conversation just switched. And it was in that moment that I realized, I can't even be asked. Like, no one can ask me because I don't know what to do. I'm also not a very good liar. I've lied in my life for sure. And in terms of perception, I can kind of manipulate that. But a straight up lie, like you ask me a question, I lie to you, I can try, but it's always going to be apparent that I'm lying. And so if someone was to ask me directly, "Hey, are you gay?" in my closet at times, it would have been like, "No, gay? Gay? Now I might hang with the gays, but I ain't one of them." Very Nene coded. And so I was just like, in my mind, that was like stamped. And mind you, this is 8th grade now. So in high school, I knew, and I wanted to transfer high school so badly because I felt like I had let my gay slip too many times within middle school. So maybe I wasn't overarchingly gay to the point where no girls would date me, but I was to the point where like it would be a question and I was over that energy, or it would just be like something, let me go to a different high school with new people, so I just wouldn't even have to. But if you guys remember, I told you my brother didn't really like me. And sorry, Namdi, but this happened. So my parents gave my brother a slip to go to a different high school, his high school, because he went to a separate high school out of district. And he ain't give it to them people. Hey, he was like, "Boy, he ain't coming here with me. It is what it is." And so I go to that school and they're like, "Hey, this is 9th grade. We're moving kind of quickly through 7th, 8th, and 9th grade." And so we get to 9th grade and we go to the new school, my brother's school. Like, we don't know him. He's registered at Redan High School, which was the high school I went to 9th grade. So I'm stuck at Redan High School with people I went to middle school with. And it's also new folks. But again, the thing about being perceived as gay or not gay or question marked is you're kind of cool among the people who have been around you for a long period of time. The difficulty is when you're around new folks. So when you are getting introduced to somebody new, the judgment they have or the perception they have of you comes up, and it comes up quickly. So what do I mean? They know how OBO rocks. We went to middle school together. They cool. But these new folks in this high school who don't know me are like, "Oh, OBO fine. Who he cute?" Or because I got cute. 8th, 9th grade, I got really cute. And so everybody's like, "Oh, who was he? Da-da-da-da-da." Now it's, "Girl, I don't know. He kind of," or "Girl." And mind you, it never got back to me. But you can kind of smell it in the energy. And when you get older, everyone's like, oh, I always knew, I knew, I just didn't, or so-and-so told me you, no girls. And so now I have to deal with the fact that people who knew me when are like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he fine, but I don't know. He kind of weird. Or he kind of this. Or I don't know what he be on. So they're being cautioned. So now you're going to test it because you think I'm cute enough to pass the it is what it is test. But then I'm still going to get tested on the are you or are you not. So now I really got to be prepared. I got to really be prepared for when you come up to me and you're testing my waters and you're putting your hands in my pants to see what time it is. Or you are doing things that, again, the average puberty-stricken boy is going to do in response to you. And that's where it was, like, it was like I had been this robot and y'all was really testing how good of a robot I could be. So, but I was not letting up. I was going to a different high school because I was like, I'm going to get a fresh wind, fresh water. I'll be weird probably at this next school, but I'll be a different kind of weird. Or I'll get a fresh slate weird so I can be a little more consistent in my weird. So by his grace, I get transferred schools. So from 10th grade to 12th grade, I went to a different high school. And what I wasn't prepared for was so many girls liking me. Like I was, girls liked me, they had crushes and stuff. But again, there was always somebody they were going to leave me for, if I'm being honest. We're going to keep it vulnerable here. Like usually a girl would like me because I had charm. But, a little light-skinned chunk with braids, she going to get him every time. Sorry, it is what it is. She out of here. The second he come and knock on her locker, she going to act like she never agreed to be my girlfriend and I'm never going to see her again. So I was kind of used to that. I transferred schools. And this is when, and this had me in college a lot too, and we'll get to that. But this is when the baddest girl started liking me. And so when junior year came around, my homeboy, who had been cool for now a year, he was like, I finally like this girl back. And we were kind of like talking or dating or flirting or what have you. And he was like, whew, I was starting to think he was gay. And I was like, why? He was like, because it was like every girl who liked you, I told you, was feeling you, you had an excuse. Or you was like, you weren't feeling it. I'm like, damn, this boy, he must not like girls. He don't like so-and-so. Because it would be like, let's say Jasmine. Jasmine like you, bro. And Jasmine the prettiest girl in school. And so you're like, of course you're going to bite on Jasmine. I'm like, here go me. I don't like her toes. I don't know. She kind of like, I don't know, her knees kind of knock. Come on, gotta make up something, guys. I don't have it. Because I was always nervous around what my body was going to respond to, if I was going to be into it or not. If I just didn't know. So I'm like, I don't call me, she cool, but and it's like, ain't no way. She's gorgeous. And in my head, I'm like, she really is gorgeous. It's almost like when you're broke at a store and you're at like, say you're at the Saks or somewhere even more expensive and the shirt is nice, it fits you well, but it's like $1,900. And you're like, these buttons, I don't know. And then here go your friend. Oh, no, I love it on you. It's fantastic. I'm like, you sure? The buttons. And they're like, no, the buttons are perfect. I'm like, are you sure? The buttons. And that was all my straight friends for like years. Oh, I'll someone who like you. She wants you. Da-da-da. The buttons. Girl. Hello. They were not getting it. But whatever. So I cycled through these things, and I want to say, which is very specific to high school. High school was the time in which I started to be very aware of my body. Before I was aware of my presentation. Now I'm aware of my body because my body is responding in ways that it hadn't always. I'm more, I'm ready to try things like sex. I didn't have sex until I was 18, my second semester of my senior year of high school. But in my mind, I was ready as like a freshman, sophomore. I was ready to have sex and just explore. I was ready to do things. I wanted to try things with a guy possibly because I think I had kind of had this idea that I could do things with a guy. It just had to be very hush-hush, and I had to find the same energy as CB. If you guys don't know who CB is, go back and watch episode 2. I talk about who CB was. But something I really want to make clear here. In high school, I really wanted to feel safe. And I didn't feel financially safe. In my home, there was a lot of things I couldn't do. And my parents, like I'm sure other parents, had a really big ego around things. And so instead of saying, we don't have the resources, it was often shame applied to me, right? Why do you always want stuff? You always want, opposed to this, we just can't afford it, right? So I often felt like there was not a safe space for me to have any desires. But I also kind of knew that I wasn't going to have a social stability, if you will, unless I presented a certain way. And I think if I had adults around me who saw me and allowed me a space to ask questions, I think I would have asked enough questions that led to me being open about my truth. And so for me, I think as a young boy, and I'm talking more teenage years, like, 14 to 18, I really wanted an adult to affirm me. Because I think I wanted kids' approval, don't get me wrong. But, when you're 16, 17, you're so hyper vigilant around adulthood, and you're thinking about college and what's next steps. And at my school specifically, they were beating college into us. It was like, be ready for college, get good grades now for college, join extracurricular activities for college, your resume for college. It was all about college. And so in my mind, I kept thinking, okay, if somebody tells me I'll be safe, I'll be okay in the world as a queer body, then I'll be okay. And plus, I think I just got either lucky or unlucky in terms of my lack of truth. I had a lot of teachers who I thought were queer. And so I'm like, they're hiding it though. I started to kind of understand what a gaydar was. I'm like, oh no, And I'm kind of doing my own little like gay watch, if you will. And I'm like, they're hiding it and they're adults. So now I'm like, okay, this is just how the game goes for a long time, apparently. And I think as a person in high school, you think all the teachers are 95,000 years old, even though they were in their late 20s. But in my mind, I'm like, they're a million years old and still pretending. So I'm going to be in this pretend game for forever. And I think if I had some adults to tell me, you're okay, you're good. Because even now, when I would do mentorship in college and thereafter, you can kind of tell certain boys, and again, this is a judgment for sure, but you can tell certain people who lean on the queer side, and just having those small moments of like, you good, or like, I see you, or like, you all good with me, or like, you like keep doing your thing, but it's a very specific and poignant way, and you see them light up, and you see when you go back to the school or go back to the program, they want to be around you more. I think if I had some of that, I might have been more safe to ask more questions that would have created space for an adult to guide me into language that made my truth safe. But yeah, I think 8th, 9th, 10th grade were some real formative years around kind of like just how I showed up and kind of what my hope leaned on. I think a lot of who we are is a byproduct of hope. Like, what do we want to be and who do we want to align ourselves with? Even as a closeted person, a freer person, a DL person, there's a difference between the two. And I think like, even as anybody, hope is usually what guides you. And I think when you lose hope, it is very, very difficult to get yourself from one spot to the other. But I think within the space, it is imperative that we maintain hope. And if you happen to be a person in high school watching this and you have lost hope, I want you to know that there is so much room for you in the world, that I recognize that in this space currently, there might not be a lot of agency. There might not be a lot of room. There might not be a lot of space for you to, interact with self in a way that you see fit. But trust me, if you can yet hold on, there is so much room for you in the world, and you will find it and align with it. It is keep your truth in your front pockets, if you will. Because I do recognize that some of this stuff is a byproduct of safety. I know that I'm not old enough to where homophobia doesn't exist anymore. I'm not old enough to where people are not still getting displaced from homes. I'm not that old, and I recognize that. So again, I want your safety to be paramount. It's kind of the same thing as when you have survival to do, but you also have a dream. Like, yes, work that 9 to 5 and survive, but also keep that dream in your front pocket. So yeah, I think that's where I wanted to land in this video. Next video, we get into junior and senior year. We get into sex. We get into fondling with the same gender. It gets interesting and more vulnerable. So here we are. But again, do me a favor and subscribe. And the question for this video is, if you could redo something about high school, anything, what would it be? If I could redo high school, and we're going to talk about this in the next episode, I would have, and I don't know if I had access to the would have, but I would have controlled my emotions around my high school crush, who was a boy, because it really interfered with the friendship that we had. And yeah, I just wish I would have been had more self-control. But anyways, what was yours? And I will see you guys in the next episode. Keep creating space and keep hope, as cliche as it sounds, keep hope alive. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.